One of the biggest shocks for people moving to New Zealand is not the move itself, it's actually the costs of the move to New Zealand. Most people only think of the costs of the visas and the flights, but that's actually a very small part of the cost of relocating to New Zealand. You can actually break the costs up into three main sections: pre-move costs, the move itself, and then post-arrival costs after you've arrived in New Zealand. Pre-move costs include your costs of your visas, your documentation, and other preparation costs like medicals, police clearances, etc. Costs relating to the move itself is obviously your flights, any shipping costs, whether you're moving your pets, temporary accommodation, and transport costs. This is also very specific to your situation, whether you are moving your whole family over in one stop or you're splitting it up over a period of time. Post-arrival costs also includes temporary accommodation, transport costs, rental deposits, possibly the first 2 weeks on a minimum of living costs until you get your first pay, or if you're not going off with the job offer, then possibly 3 to 6 months living cost expenses to cover for all your expenses until you actually find that job, and then 2 weeks on until you get your first pay. This era is where most people underestimate the costs and may fall short in their financial preparation. If you are not aware of all the costs relating to all three of these phases ahead of time and plan for it appropriately, having enough finances and funds available to cover those costs, that is where you can run into problems and actually get stuck. This is exactly why I created the New Zealand Immigration Budget Buddy tool for you to use, so that you can make sure that you account and plan for all the costs relating to your immigration process. I'm going to quickly share with you what the Budget Buddy tool looks like, just so that you can have an idea of how easy it is to use. Right, so I'd just like to give you a quick demo and overview of the New Zealand Immigration Budget Buddy tool that I've created for you to use. Don't get a heart attack. This is total cost depending on the details in here. But when you get your login, which you'll get from a link if this is what you would like to use, you'll create your own login and it will save your personal information so that as you build your budget, it saves it for you when you go back the next time, as things might change or as you progress through it. But for the start, you can do an estimate. So we've already put in here for phase 1, which is the pre-move, phase 2, the move, and then post-arrival. You can add expenses in each phase if there's something additional that's not on the list yet, but this has already got estimates in. So a whole list of things related to each and individual move. You can add quantities if there's extra family members relating to each expense. You can edit here to change the cost, because obviously prices change. If you don't need it, you can either delete it, but I actually recommend to just make it a 0, and then that would turn to 0, and it will also amend your total expenses for that phase. And that's how you can go through. So for a start, if you're not in that phase already, you're obviously going to see what the estimates are. So if you've got a quote from a travel agent for flights, you can put that in, how many flights. That'll depend on your planning from your first and second phase in the New Zealand Clear Path Roadmap, how many members of your family are going over at the same time. So this is literally a budget tool specifically for you and your family for your specific situation. Then your arrival, where you will arrive, when you will arrive, whether you're arriving with a job. That means in 2 weeks' time, probably you're going to get a pay, which will cover some of your costs. If not, and you're on a visitor visa, for example, you might have to cover costs. And these are estimates that are put in here. And it will save what you amend, and it will give you a total budget for your full immigration process. And then you can see also, so when you edit it, you can say what has been paid. So currently it defaults to estimate, right? Because it's an estimate, you haven't actually made the expense yet. As you do incur the costs, you fill in the exact amount and you can make it to paid. We've got a quote, you can say pending, and that is how it's very easy to track your costs and your expenses, and you can see the totals so that you know what is the amount of money that you need to actually prepare for, budget for, get a loan, do some extra additional something online to create the extra income to actually pay for these costs. This link you will find in our community is the New Life Community on a school platform. If you're interested in that, I can send you a link. It will also be just below the video. And in the classroom, if you go in there, it will be under the Immigration Roadmaps section and also under the Resources Hub. In the Resources Hub, over and above the immigration budget buddy that we have there, we also have a cost of living comparison. So depending on where you might land, you can go and have a look and use that tool to also calculate what your living costs might be for that period. So this is your budget buddy that can help you in your planning stage, in your preparation, to make sure that you're not stuck in the middle of your process, not budgeted for enough funding to actually complete your process. As you can see, the full cumulative costs of immigrating to New Zealand is quite a big amount, especially if you have more than one person in your family, right? And if it's an extended period of time, if you're not coming over with a job, but you're still looking for a job and you need to fund yourself and cost of living in New Zealand for a couple of months, that can be quite costly. That is why it is so important to work through the Clear Path Roadmap for yourself and your family, to have clarity about the process, next steps to follow, and also the cost that this process is going to cost you, so that you can prepare and not get stuck in the middle. If you would like a copy of the Clear Path New Zealand Immigration Roadmap, the link is below this video, and you can also join our school community, New Love New Zealand, if you would like to use the Budget Buddy tool and the cost comparison. In my next video, I'm going to explain why applying for jobs first as part of your immigration process is a very big mistake. See you in the next one.